Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. I hope y'all are excited for this one today. We're going to be talking about Nephilim and Giants. And we'll put a little distinction there on purpose, but we'll get into that soon. 1 second, guys. I'm just changing a couple things real quick. And of course, it's going to be super slow on me while I'm doing it. All right, I might have to drop this real quick. Preview camera. Apologize, everyone. Getting this. So I will just be offline for a second. Let's switch it over. Boom. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I'm hearing background on you, Marcia. Sorry about that. No, it's okay. But anyways, guys, why will my camera preview not work? I don't understand. I'm having like multiple issues today for whatever reason. All right, let's see if my camera will just turn on at least. Completely different background, not the one I want. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something real quick, guys. I apologize for those that are watching. I'm gonna drop off of here real quick. Okay, 1 second, guys. Pop out. Oh, there we go. Finally. Appreciate everybody's patience here. Almost done. And this one. Sweet. Save. Apply. Turn on camera. There we go. Sweet. Apologize, everybody, for that brief delay. But yeah, so today we are going to be talking about Nephilim and Giants. And like I said, we just split them up for a reason. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I feel like it's a good topic. It definitely goes with giant trees. You know, it kind of makes sense that if you'd have giant trees, you would have giant creatures as well. And as well as people. So, yeah. But before we get into that, like we always do, let's go ahead and say hello to all of those who are on the panel today. And we'll go from there. So we'll start with our sister Marcia. Good to have you back, sister. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you.
I am, and I've missed you guys 1 week, and then you weren't on 1 week. So it's been a while. Although I've been glued to Robert's hip today.
Yeah. So I don't know if you actually got, because I told everyone last week, but they got us from episode 25 of season 1. And they did the whole entire episode because we were talking about it, the title, the name of the episode was Possessed. And we were talking about how possibly, again, I got to say this now, please, talk to, a licensed doctor or psychologist, physician, whatever it is. But I was basically making the comparison that maybe some of these mental illnesses that we see in the world are actually demonic. And so they deleted the whole episode. They didn't even say, hey, this part, like they did the previous video with Frankie B talking about the elections. But this time they were just like the whole video. And I was like, can I get a clip? Because I was going to just re-upload the video, but apparently I can't. So yeah, well, welcome back, sister. Good to see you. Let's jump over to our brother Robert. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, Marcia. I have a stalker. I go into one chat. There's Marcia right behind me. I go another one. There's Marcia right behind me.
Hey, you're stalking me. Come on.
I guess it's a matter of perception.
Yep.
Anyhow, hey, let's talk about giants.
Yes, I'm excited. This is going to be a fun topic for sure. I got some tons of gravy to share. So let's keep chugging along. Dear brother Kyle, good to see you as always. AE Creations, welcome.
Shalom, brother. Good to see you guys. Yeah, this is a good topic. I think a lot of us started here in our early walks where
Mm-hmm.
other subjects, these kind of subjects were definitely interesting, and there was a lot of credible evidence behind them showing that they were in fact true, and then not only the physical evidence but also backed up by the scriptures.
Yeah.
So there so many hours of stuff could be spoken on this subject. We don't even have enough time to talk
No.
about it all.
Totally. And something I want to kind of bring up that doesn't have directly to do with this episode, but it kind of does, is just a few episodes ago, we talked about evolution. And we're going to be looking at a specific book by Fritz Springmeier called Nephilim Chronicles, Fallen Angels in the Ohio Valley. And that right there is such a hard piece of evidence showing the consistency of all these things. And just real quick, back to the evolution, giants is a big problem for the mainline science, right? Because they can't explain, that would be completely contrary to evolution, right? That you would have these huge giants and then they would scale down and
Yeah, exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
So, in this continued line of season 2, we got tons of connecting things where you may not even think evolution and giants, how could they possibly connect? They totally do. So, I'm excited to talk about it with you, with y'all. And so let's jump over to the last but not least, our Frankie B. Welcome, brother. Good to see you.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Yeah, if I don't answer, I might have to step out for a minute. So, but right now I'm doing all right. So, yeah, we're gonna show everyone that Bigfoot could possibly be real.
Well, and so not next week, but the week after, we will be hitting on like Bigfoot and the Wendigo. And again, they seem like they don't have anything to do to do with each other, but of course they do, and we'll kind of show that as we go. Sweet. So I'm excited that we're all here. Welcome to all those in chat. If anyone is having real quick, if anyone is having issues with hearing anyone on the stream, please let me know now so we can do an audio check before we get into the main part of the conversation. What were you going to say, Marcia?
You said Fritz Springmeier, which he was my earliest on of awakening to like MK Ultra and some other Masonic things. I have 3 of his books.
Yeah, he also wrote the 13 Bloodlines.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, he also did it's called Nephilim Chronicles, Ohio, Fallen Angels in the Ohio Valley. So I'm going to be talking about it more than showing it, but it's definitely for the truthers out there specifically interested in giants. It is a great book to pick up. Sweet. Wendy is saying we all sound good. So let's kind of get into it. I forgot last week because I got used to the Friday. So let's do housekeeping real quick and then we'll get into it. Shouldn't take me very long. Trying to pick up the speed. Get through this pretty quickly. All right. So first and foremost, shout out to Chris and Liz Bailey over on Take on the World. They allow us to come onto their platform and share and let us share our puzzle pieces with their family. So we always want to show appreciation, always have gratitude for them. So go check them out if you haven't. Tons of great content here to check out. 860 videos. So a plethora. And then if you don't know, you're on Taking the World, or this is the first time, this is Circle of the Earth Fellowship. We are seekers of the puzzle pieces of truth, and we look through all the different topics scripturally and secularly and talk about, all the things out there that we find interesting in talking about. So if that sounds good, you want to join us, we definitely appreciate you. And like always, read a couple comments, actually just one comment. And the giant trees, period, have giant creatures. Absolutely. And I totally agree. Thank you for your comment. I want Sherperno? I'm sorry if I butchered that. None on our side, but do remember that comments help the channel grow. So thanks for the support. Any that take a little bit of time to do that. Sweet. And then these conversations as well as the after shows take place on Discord. The link is in the description. So if you're interested in not only joining the panel or for these episodes, or if you're interested in partaking in the after show where we get to have a little bit of an uncensored conversation about these and other topics, check that out as well. If you'd like to support the channel, we do have a merch store where you can buy some hats and clothes and different stuff like that. I have tons of stuff to add. I just got lots of going on, so look out for that. I will mention it when it happens. And then just quickly, Bible Gateway, huge resource. Bible Hub, even bigger resource. Check those out if you're interested in looking through the concordances and the lexicons, as well as has all the different versions at your fingertips. And a great place to check out if you're interested in the so-called Apocrypha is sacredtext.com. They have all of it, so obviously use discernment as you go through it. But right now, if you don't know, we just did the book of the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. On Sundays, we are switching peacekeepers since we finished the 12 Testaments of the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. We are switching over to the book of Enoch, so part 2 will be tomorrow if you're interested. All right, let's get rid of all that. We are done.
Later. I put a link up in episode links. It's a short on Nephilim and Giants.
Where'd you put it at?
On
Episode
Google
link
Docs.
under my name, Frankie. The second video.
I don't have one under episode 22. What episode did you paste it on?
I just pasted it under my name.
Huh?
Under my name, Frankie.
Yes, but what episode?
You're not understanding what I'm saying. Look at the episode tab at the bottom.
All right, hold on. Guest 1. I tried to put it in episode
22.
Episode 22. There's no spot to put it at, though.
Yeah, there's
Yes,
tons.
there is.
All right, I'll link it there then. Hold on. Ah, shoot. Now I gotta redo it again.
I'm looking for it. I just don't see.
Where's
Is it
12?
this one?
Who knows where he put it?
No,
Let's
no.
see. I'll look. Also.
Apologize, everyone. We're scouring our Google Docs to find a link.
I don't know where he's at.
Animalistic and full of pride.
It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on episode 9. I don't see it. Episode 10. Episode 11.
All right, it's episode 22.
Yes, that's where we're
Nephilim
at.
and Giants.
That's where you pasted it?
It's not letting me paste. It's only saying copy.
Let me see.
Well,
Let me make sure you're good on this page. You should be. I don't know why you couldn't paste it. Oh, yeah, you're not on here. Why is he not on here? Have you never posted a link and so
I don't
we're
think
just
he's
now,
ever.
we're just now realizing?
Yep.
No, I did. I posted a link at number 3. I put it at number 5.
Can you
Under my
just can you send it to the Discord? Is that
Yeah,
possible?
put on Discord.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing you. You may have got out of the Google Docs or something at some point.
No, I'm in there. It says episode links. Is that
No,
the one
you're
with
there. You're there. I just can't give you. I can't get it won't let me. It says you're anonymous, so it won't let me give you.
I have a name. It says
You know-
Frankie.
He posted links in Hollywood Rituals.
He did.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I did that from my computer.
That
But you're
doesn't
probably
mean-
logged in on one and not logged in on the
Wait,
other.
no, just hold up. I think I figured it out. I think he actually posted it on in predictive programming.
Oh, Frankie. Usually
Posted
Vader.
at number 5 under my name.
Okay, that's not playing.
I posted at 22.
Does it say taken from AI and its demons?
Yeah, youtube.com, da-da-da-da.
Short? Is it a short?
Yeah, it's a short. Yeah, AI and demons. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, I found it. Yeah, it was on episode 14. But good try. That's weird that it won't let you post it on the other pages though. But anyways, okay, yeah, I got that for you. So we'll
Sure you got it?
That's because you updated your Google Docs. I had got a new link to it when you put all the other episodes, and I don't think he's been on it since.
Gotcha.
Who knows? Who knows?
All right. I apologize for the wait, everybody. But yeah, so let's kind of get into it. So I'm going to read the description real quick. It says, similarly to our last episode, the topic of giants can be found within history, the different mythos of each respective culture, and of course within the scriptures. It is easy to see why this topic is ignored by mainstream science, as it would directly contradict and refute a plethora of their established doctrines within that worldview. With that being the case, and armed with historical records and primary source testimonies, a pattern of removal and concealment becomes obvious. Is there a difference between Nephilim and Giants? Will we see them again? Join us as we discuss the topics of Nephilim and Giants and the implications for our future and future generations' lives from the perspective of believers seeking the puzzle pieces of truth. And so, kind of a couple things I want to indicate here. Well, people would be like, well, if there were so many giants and they all were all around the world, why don't we have any skeletons of it? And I know that a lot of us within our YouTube journey, within our truth journey, have come along pictures, right, of people standing next to giant skulls, right? And you look into the photo and it's photoshopped. You see those thumbnails where it shows a huge skeleton and then all these little people standing right next to it. And so, of course, like many of these topics, they are, you know, there's COINTEL where they kind of grab it and subvert it and make it look kind of crazy. And so, okay, well, where's our evidence, right? And as we've kind of showed, or as we're going to show, it's all been nicely and quietly hidden away.
Tucked away in the Smithsonian Institute.
Yeah. And so yeah, so let's kind of get into it in the beginning. So when we're talking about Nephilim, we are specifically, of course, we're truth seekers, and so we do believe in the scriptures, and we see our first kind of indication of this within Genesis 6. So I'm going to pull that up real quick just so we can read it. I thought I had already pulled it up. I may have closed it down on accident. And, you know, there's, many different denominations, and people will take this scripture and kind of make it mean something else. But we're going to just take it as it says, and let's read it. I'm going to pull it up for everyone.
Do you know I never knew anything about Nephilim? I read it in the 6, but I never knew.
Never
Yeah.
knew.
I didn't. For years.
I don't know.
Many years.
I never knew.
All right, so we're reading the King James Version because we think it is the perfect version. No one else can read anything else. I like the literary style. Of course, choose your own read along as you will. But we're going to read here in Genesis 6, and it says, "And it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them wives of all of which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. They became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of their thoughts of his of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it had grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the earth, for it repenteth me that I made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. So I'm going to... I'll keep going. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was also corrupted before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Okay, so and then from that part it gets into the story of Noah, very important story, and I think if we kind of back up a little bit, I want to put this in a nutshell because we got tons more to cover. But if we back up a little bit, and we're actually going to go back to sacred text, we're going to pull up the book of Enoch. And so we are going to kind of be jumping in a little bit to what we're going to be reading tomorrow. But, okay, I'm in the wrong place. But I think it's important specifically to this episode, and I think it's also very interesting that it just so happened to, line up the way that it did, that we're doing this episode and we're doing that. So, okay, let's pull this up. Many of you have already read this. I think we went to 5 last time. Okay, yep, this is a perfect spot to start because it coincides exactly with what we just read in Genesis. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, you see how it clarifies it there? The angels, the children of heaven, i.e. the sons of God that we just read, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And the evil one, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of the great sin. And so they all swore upon each other and upon mutual implications that they would all do this thing, and they would not back down from it. And so I'm going to skip a little ahead. Of course, now we were just reading in Genesis how the whole earth had become corrupted, and the others together with them took on themselves wives, right? And for wives, each chose himself one, and they began to go in them and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with the plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants whose heights were 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisition of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and to drink blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. So just as it said, the whole world has become corrupted. He wasn't going to just destroy the men. He was going to destroy the beasts and the fowls of the air and the creepy things on the earth. Just like this said, because what happened after the giants had corrupted mankind? They switched over to the beasts. And that will fall right into what we're talking next week, but we won't go there yet. So I'll finish the rest of the book of Enoch, but right along the side of it, right, we see this defilement taking place. And the book of Enoch goes into it in depth on how that defilement is happening. And so we can see these parallels between what's talked about in Genesis 6 and what's been talking about in chapter 7 and chapter 6 of Enoch. And so, okay, well, what does this world look like? Well, you keep using the word giants, but I thought you said there's something different between giants and Nephilim. And so let's kind of talk about that real quick. I feel like so let's do this. Let's talk a little bit, and then we're going to bring up Robert's video, because I think sharing how Sean laid that out will be a great way to kind of start where we're talking about, definitely upon this separation when it comes to that. So specifically to the panel members, specifically about giants and Nephilim and the distinction between the two. Do y'all understand the distinction? Do y'all have a pretty good idea of kind of where I'm hinting at when I say that?
Yes.
All right. What's your thoughts, Marcia?
Okay, Nephilim are the actual sons of the angels that fell. They are their progeny. But then they had progeny, didn't they? And those are the giants, right?
So I would say that's partly
or they'd
right.
still have.
I would say
Okay.
they're
all Nephilim.
Yeah, they're
all Nephilim.
I thought the offspring were the giants.
And they are. And so also, so to kind of give a little clarity here on my behalf, anyway, in my mind, is that the original giants that were created were the original inhabitations of those bodies that became the demons' vessels. That at that point, that's when those spiritual entities began to exist. The strange thing about these creatures is they can be replicated over time through different means, and those spirits are able to seemingly fill those vessels, looking for a body to inhabit, always wandering dry places, looking, it's this concept that they can possess different bodies over time. It's almost like reincarnation, only for demons, where they can live throughout different life cycles through other entities. So,
well, like Legion, it had many of those.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now I guess I have something to say about giants. I guess and I think Robert's thing is going to say that is the root cuttings and things like that brought giants after the flood. Is that what we're going with?
So very.
And not only those means, but what's going on today too.
Oh yeah, like gene.
Well, yes, they're using currently they're using CRISPR technology and different plant genomes and different sequence of events to bring change. What were you going to say, Robert?
I was just saying the differentiation is that the prior to the flood is the fallen angels and the woman, having children. Those are the ones that were like the Nephilim, and those are the ones that had the evil spirits as their soul.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you talk about the we are legion, for we are many, that was someone who was a
disembodied
regular person, right, that had was being attacked by many
right
spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then
spirits that originated where
the
though?
giants after the flood would be not the Nephilim; they would be manipulated giants.
Yeah,
but the demons were the disembodied Nephilim, right?
Totally.
I mean, they were.
So
Yeah.
that's the distinction. So, and I think I don't remember exactly who said it, but when the Nephilim were born, they had evil spirits. Their destiny was to become an unclean spirit. When giants were born, they could have been born a human, but went through processes that changed their body for them to become a Gibberim or a mighty man. Maybe, right? So I won't go as far as Gibberim, but so an example of that is like, give us real world examples. Steroids as an example. Steroids is an outside substance that can be produced through natural means that then can be injected into your body that then increases muscle growth, right? And so we know that there's, lots of disease that can inhibit these things. So are there other things that could bolster these things, like growing tall, like growing muscle? And so, of course, if you look into the real world, right, there's tons of supplements and not so legal supplement or, drugs that can used to increase those type of things within the human genome, right? So what's interesting to me about that is, because let's focus on giants real quick. So giants are all the Nephilim. That's not happening more. Angels aren't coming down and still mating with women, so we're not getting them produced that way. And so we were talking about them being produced via alchemical biological processes where they could use like we read in the book of Enoch, the cutting of roots and them being acquainted with plants, and we'll look at that in just a couple minutes. But the point being is, so I kind of have a question for you guys. Sorry, my ear is like on fire itching. So I have a question for y'all. So not the Nephilim, the ones that were born to end up as unclean spirits, but the people who altered their bodies so much so let's say that they are opening them up to possessions, because I think there's a difference between a human that can be possessed and then a vassal that is created to be possessed. Okay, so do y'all think that with those kind of things lined up, do y'all think that there is a way for a human to do so much to their physical body that it removes or closes or kills them? Let's say kills that spark. It rejects the divine spark out of them, where a human who was born a human with a soul can lose that soul before they are judged. Does that make sense? Does everyone get the question?
I understand you. Now, would anybody think that maybe Nimrod did something like that?
So I personally think Nimrod did do that. So I think
and
it's
comes
possible,
back and
but
tries to do it to everyone else.
Yeah. So do y'all think it's possible that it is possible other than Nimrod that people could change themselves to a degree where they can no longer be human?
It requires some degree of alchemy that hasn't been introduced yet, because I think it's for a particular time in the future when such an event happens, where people can manipulate themselves to a point where they can actually damn their own souls. The mark of the beast.
Yeah, because I wonder about that, right? So, like, just as example, I'm not saying this is real, but let's say they do come out with the technology where they can transfer someone's consciousness from their body to, let's say, a robot, right? And that inside there, for all intents and purposes, is that person. Is their soul dead and their actual spirit is in Sheol, darker light? Or does their soul change into something that is no longer... And the reason why I ask this, because I've always personally speculated that where it talks about those whose names have not been written in the book of life since the foundation of the earth, or since the foundation of the Lamb of God, or I don't remember I know I'm butchering it, but what my point is so we know everyone's name's in the book of life, right? And your name is blotted out if you aren't following the Father. So who are those people whose names have never been in the book of life since the foundation of the earth?
That would be the Nephilim.
First off,
that would be
exactly.
That would be the fallen angels' children.
Exactly.
And where did Goliath come from? So Goliath was post-flood. Yeah. And he was a giant. David
Yeah.
took 5 stones to kill him and his brothers. Where did they come from?
Or the Anakim and when the spies went into the promised land and they talked about the giants as tall as cedar trees. Yeah, exactly. It's where
where did they come from post-flood?
Right.
They were given fallen angel technology afterwards to start splicing and making giants.
Well,
that is partially found in scripture where I'm sorry.
No,
Zach,
go ahead. Go.
Okay, I was just going to say it was the grandson of Noah who found the writings of the Watchers,
right?
Who began this whole process again. It was through his lineage too, I believe it was Nimrod who came along and built the Tower of Babel and turned himself into a Gibberim, a mighty one. Right. So it's all along the same
Nimrod. It's like
exactly.
Boom.
Yep. Yeah, he found tablets, right? And he hid him from Noah because...
And he didn't want to tell Noah because Noah would be angered. Yeah, exactly.
Be angry. Right.
Yep.
Is that the shame of... what was it? Who was cast out? Is that the shame that they were talking about? Because he had the hidden things when he seen his father naked?
No,
that was cast out of the camp?
No, that's a separate thing. But... So think about
that's
that.
His heart.
Shortly
after, the same one that was cast out of the camp, though, right? And cursed.
It is him. It's his grandson his Canaan Ham. Okay, so the son. Okay, who is it?
Ham had Cush. Cush had Nimrod.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying, who was the one who saw what they were supposed to see, and then they're covered. Their brother came in and covered.
Father.
And he said, "Curse be Canaan," and that wasn't the person who had done anything there. That was, yeah, exactly. So that was a lineage to come.
And Canaan both got cursed then.
Well, I mean, that's not what the Bible says. So I don't know.
well, Ham's the one that took the scrolls from and gave them to Nimrod with the technology of the angels, right?
So yes, but he's also the one who saw the nakedness of his father. So what we're saying, it's the same person.
Right.
But
that's what I'm asking.
Ham had Cush. Cush had Nimrod. Cush is, if you also look in history, Cush used to be known as having this huge library, a center of progression in technology and science. So interestingly enough, and so think about that. So boom, you got Ham, Cush, Nimrod. And think about what Nimrod was doing. Think about the technology he found, right? And so where did it come back from? Well, even after they separated, right, from the 70, I like saying 70, so the 70 tribes separate at the Tower of Babel, well, they all still know the magic. They all still know the sorcery. They still know what the plants look like. They just have different words for them, right? And so that's why I think it's so important that we look at all the different cultures around the world. And yeah, it shifts one way or the other for the cultural representation for each culture respectively. But you see these stories over and over and over. The mythos of the god, the mythos of giants, and then next to the mythos of mythological creatures. And so to me it's there's so much information. But okay, sorry, I'm kind of getting off track. So back to the kind of question is, do y'all see that technology reemerging where they're going to start doing that openly before, let's say, Revelation 9, the fifth trumpet, first woe, or do y'all see it happening and creeping up before then?
First off, I don't believe they're going to be able to put a consciousness in a automaton.
Did anybody see the video? Did anybody see the videos going around on head transplants?
No. Yes.
With the mechanical
the robotic operation.
Yeah, they take the head of a older person. They would take Marsha's head and put it on a young woman's body, and then her consciousness would, because the head can live for 700 years.
Oh yay!
So you could live for 700 years.
Like the Borg queen, queen being switched into
who's the younger?
Soros's head
And who's the younger person?
Body. How about
And
that?
who's the young man? Who's the young man and woman?
It'd
Yeah.
be Kyle. It'd be you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
Yeah, who
my
We're
cares
gonna take
about the Girl
Marsha's
Scouts?
head
Exactly.
and put it on your body. Or you know what?
Oh,
I'll
my
take
God.
my head and put it on your body. How about that? Because you got a nice strong body, and I'll be a young man again.
How about like Mars attacks and put her head on a dog?
No, too much.
Marsha Barbie.
Marsha. Okay.
Vader, you're muted.
Can't
Oh,
hear you,
Vader.
baby.
Sweet, thank you.
We
Sweet. All
blocked
right,
you.
so we're going to switch over. This is episode 3 from Investigating Babylon series. This is a very long video. We're not going to play the whole video. We're going to play a section of it. But he really nails down like he says, the science of the giants and where that after technology comes from. Not what we just read in Genesis 6 and Enoch 6, but what happened post flood, post alluvial. So let's go ahead and bring that up for everyone. And if you haven't checked out the series, definitely do. It is a great series and so much gravy in it. Shout out to Sean from Kingdom in Context. Go check him out not only on YouTube, but also on Lighthouse, his new social platform. Definitely check it out. Okay, let's make this big. I'm going to skip a little in the head because we're not going to do all the stuff. But okay, let me drop my video. Okay, let's see. I think that's a good place to start.
See in the scriptures themselves. So let's dig in, guys. Let us dig in. Let's look at some pre-flood giants. Enoch chapter 7, verses 1 through 6.
Okay, so we already read that. Let's skip ahead a little bit to where this science stuff part is. Okay, so he's talking about the pre-flood giants. We kind of already talked about that. This is more scripture. I want to get where he gets to the science part of it. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
I want to get all of this. Okay.
To mankind during that time, specifically
So, and we talked about that too, the cutting of the roots and and made them acquainted
also
with
to their
plants.
giant sons.
I'm gonna pause I'm gonna stop talking and we're gonna watch this for a couple minutes. So let's pull this up for everyone. Big. Oop. All right, here we go.
That was charms and enchantments, which is sorcery, spells, omens, and another part of it is the cutting of roots and making them acquainted with plants. And so I'll go into this just real quick. So a lot of people aren't aware that within plants and the roots of plants and trees, that there's 5 growth hormones, and they're auxins, cytokines, gibberellins, ethylene, and abscisic acid. And these particular growth hormones, they determine how tall the plant sprouts before it starts budding leaves, how big the leaves are, how big the stems are that produce the leaves, how deep the roots grow, how thick the actual stem is. All those different things, they have programmed instructions through chemical hormones. Anyone that understands genetics, you're very familiar with this already. If you're not, I'm giving you a very, very small crash course in the idea of how genetics works. And it's through, your RNA and DNA, but also it's implemented through your chemical receptors of growth hormones. So this is where, right off the bat, the angels are genetically manipulating their offspring. This is why, we'll go back to the verse real quick. This is why it says they taught them charms and enchantments, and then the cutting of roots and made them acquainted with plants. And the next sentence says, and they, that's the women, became pregnant and bare great giants. They had great kids as giants. This is why it's being told to you in that order. It's telling you what they're doing. We just have to know what the definitions of the words are that's being used in that passage in Enoch chapter 7. This is the biology behind the idea of what cutting roots means. And it's a manipulation of growth hormones. Gibberellins is one of the second most important growth hormones. It's named after a fungus, but it causes the rice plants to grow up normally tall and in Japan. It can be synthesized in portions of stems and roots, which means it can be manufactured in a lab. And there's more than 60 types of gibberellins that they've discovered and played with. And a lot of people don't realize this, but gibberellins used to be one of the main ingredients of Miracle Grow, the stuff you put on your plants and in your garden to help things grow. That's literally what you were putting on your plants was gibberellins. Now, over time, they've taken some of these 60 various types, and they have very long scientific words that they put on the packaging label, so they don't call them gibberellins now, but it is from gibberellins. That's where this concept comes from. It's literally Miracle Grow came from the idea of cutting roots. Just in case you guys don't know that. So this is what's going on with the watchers, extremely intelligent from heaven above. They have more knowledge than mankind. They take wives and they genetically manipulate the birth of the babies that they're having. That when these kids come out, they're huge. We just went into Jubilees chapter 10 that tells us what happened to those kids, right? As we already read that. But now let's jump to the post-flood giants. We're going to look at Egypt, Greece, and Babylon, just like we did in part 2. And we're going to see evidence from their recorded history that we still haven't through archaeology and anthropology. We can see that they all had records of giants. You can see on screen here, this is Egyptian giants putting up either just standing next to it for scale and size or helping actually erect these obelisk monuments you see all over Egypt, which are the size of a 4-story building. In Greece, they had tons of stories of giants and chimeras and mixed animals that were all mixed together. They had the centaur, the minotaur. They had the chimeron, which was like half man, half horse, as well as a centaur.
All right, so we're going to keep it to that section. Definitely suggest the whole video, so go check it out.
So that's where the mermaids came from too, then.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And all of those, mixed, defiled beings, right? Because it said as soon as they were done messing with humans and men could no longer sustain them, they switched to the birds of the beast and all of those different creatures. So yeah, exactly. But one thing I wanted to kind of put a spark in my mind is listen to what this is called. I'm gonna go back real quickly. Play it again.
Animals that were all
wait, let me go back
from their recorded history that we still.
Let me go back a little more.
To mankind, they take wives and they genetically manipulate the birth of the babies that they're having. That when these kids come out, they're huge.
Okay, this word right here, gibberellums. What does that sound like? Doesn't that totally sound like gibberim?
Absolutely.
Gibberine. You mean
when Nimrod, right, when he became a gibberim, he became a mighty man. Gibberellins, gibberim. I thought that was interesting. Go ahead.
So everything he's talking about is post-flood.
Correct. Oh, no. Because he's also saying that so not only were the Nephilim half human, half angel, but they also were genetically mutated. Like they were also given these growth hormones. So it was both.
Oh, so it wasn't just the angel and the human blood mixing that made giants. It was also they added hormone growth to the woman.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like if they did like growth, right? Yeah, I don't know if it was prenatal or postnatal or what, but yeah, they definitely were using that technology that they had taught the women, that they just taught man, I should say. Sweet. So yeah. Again, go check out the Investigating Babylon series. Great video if you haven't. Great series if you haven't checked it out. Sweet. Okay, let me drop this. I will bring us back up. Sweet. So yeah, I think that we're kind of, like I said, we're kind of seeing this technology slowly, right? Like they're not. It's almost like before it was just spoiled for us, but now, like through science and probably unclean spirits as well, the technology is coming out, because like I don't know, me personally, I don't know the history, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. But like, is steroids? Is that like super? Has steroids been around for years and thousands of years, where people have been injecting themselves with hormones to grow bigger? Like our specific modern day steroids, I don't think they've been around as long, and so that's what I'm saying is like there is a progression, and now we see it where they're talking, we're getting into, and I don't necessarily think this is bad, right? But they're talking about all of these herbs, right? All of these, essential minerals and all that jazz, for
oils and blah blah
essential
blah.
oils and stuff like that. Is that us? Like, so, okay, so God gave us these things for us to use and stuff like that. I wonder where that line is, right? He gave us so there's growth hormones in those roots of those trees. Did he give us them therefore so we can use them for growth hormones? And so I don't know. There's a really interesting line there.
I think there's a splice.
Oh, go
Didn't
ahead.
it say in Genesis 6 or whatever the splicing or the cutting of roots?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there was.
Yeah, and exactly that. It's a process rather than what
Right.
God originally, I guess, intended them for, as they provide to the body how they're taken, rather than this alchemical sort of witchcraft mixture that they do with things, which is to say, with like steroids. I mean, sure, they haven't always existed. I mean, maybe to some degree, maybe they have, but where did they come from? Who thought you could take, parts of a animal's body system and inject it into your own system to make it work? I have to say, there's nothing new under the sun. I would suspect that these things are well known and throughout the the occult mystery schools, to say the least.
Right.
Well, that's where all your superheroes come from. Spider-Man, he got bit by a spider that was, and then he became part spider, part man, and then remember Rhino Man in the comic books, not the movie because it was a contraption, but in the comic books he was supposed to be a real guy or something.
Yeah, like a real,
part Rhino, part man.
Mm. Okay, so I'm gonna put this with this. Okay, so let's pull this up. So this is sorry, this is giving me problems. Okay. Okay, so I think this is a video good. It goes along with it. I think this is from Kyle. Let me pull this up. So let's check this video out. Sorry for making y'all turn your cameras on just to turn them off. But let's pull this up. Make this bigger. Full screen it. Okay. So let's check this out real quick. I think this goes right along with what we're talking about. Oh, okay. It's muted. Try this again.
Heard of a homunculus? This term refers to an alchemical creation of a fully formed miniature human being. The name is Latin for little man. Historical figures such as Paracelsus, John Dee, and even Aristotle have written about this mystical creature extensively, but the real question is it real? The alchemist doesn't care about money, family, possessions, or accolades. They are completely obsessed with immortality, playing God, and creating life. Creating the homunculus is their holy grail. Aristotle had the belief that fully formed organisms could arise from inanimate substances such as soil or grains. The process is called abiogenesis and is based on an ancient science called preformationism. And if you believe in evolution, the entire process is based on this. The creation of a homunculus is similar to the creation of a golem. Instructions to create a golem can be found in the Sabra Yetzia. There is a legend from the 16th century based in Prague of the Jewish Rabbi Loew creating a golem to protect his people from anti-Semites.
Is that Owen Benjamin?
Made out of clay, followed by a specific
Is
set
it?
of rituals and the invocation of divine names, the golem was brought to life.
No.
The golem was immensely strong, could turn invisible, and had emet, which means truth, written on his forehead. Adam is created from dust and is technically a golem. Paracelsus describes the process of creating a homunculus in his book De Notera Rerum. The process involves placing human sperm in a glass vial and sealing it with an alchemical seal. It's then buried in horse manure and left for 40 days. Afterwards, a small humanoid would begin to form. The homunculus would continue to grow over time and eventually would be able to speak. Paracelsus believed it could be used for healing, divination, and controlling the weather. All this shit sounds crazy, but what are we doing today?
Weak words.
Fake word.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's there though. It's in the world. So the whole homunculus, I think it kind of goes in together, right? Because there is a desire of men. Here, let me go ahead and switch this up. And this again. There is a desire of men, like that gentleman was just describing, where they seek immortality. They want to be gods. They want the exact same thing that their father wants, which is to usurp God's power and to become their own gods. And we see this through those type of things, right? And one of the other alchemical holy grails is also obviously the Philosopher's Stone, which would not only grant immortal life, but would also give you untold wealth, right? Because you could turn stuff like lead into gold. So, but where I think that really shows a representation is right. There's all of this. You saw the video. The guy was like, oh, there's, all of these manuscripts, these books that tell the process of how to do this thing. And
Yep.
So in the same way that information has been passed down, same with the cutting of the roots, same of the being acquainted with the plants. They were made known of these things and their purposes. Now, one thing I want to go back real quick and say, because it says after that, and we'll read that tomorrow in Peace Seekers, but it literally says, for these are all things that men were striving to learn, right? So left alone, eventually, as we explored the world and we multiplied and did so, we would have figured these things out. We would have come to these truths. And I wonder how we would have used those as opposed to how they used those. But regardless of that point, the main point I'm saying is these are things that are a part of creation, whether they're used for good or for evil. That's on the intent of the person or being using it. So, but again, real quickly, just to sum it up, is this type of desire to make a body, to make a creature, has been in man's desire for a very, very long time. And the technology and information to do so has also been available for a long, long amount of time. So
The proverbial fountain of youth, something to always wanting us to live forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I put that video in bulletin board if you want to put it up. If you
oh, okay, let me find it.
yeah, it's in bulletin board. Should be the last entry.
Oh yeah, I already got it. It worked. I will
cool.
pull that up and play it for you.
You play it whenever you want.
Oh yeah, okay. Before we do get into that, any thoughts on kind of the homunculon, that desire, from anyone?
Yeah, I just have to say it's I guess like the golem, it's this Jewish this kind of mysticism where you can take the dust of the earth and sort of through an alchemical process breathe the breath of life into it using blood from humans, which already has the breath of life, which shows that it's not really creating anything new. If anything, it's just creating, in my opinion, a vessel for something to exist in.
You know what
Just
a
an
real
update.
you know what a real homunculus would be is if they could take the 27 required amino acids and proteins, put them all in a
Make a
petri
living
dish,
cell.
shock it full of electricity, and then boom, right? And isn't
Yeah.
it? And it's funny enough, right? We were talking about evolution and how Giants contradicts it, right? And how he specifically is like, oh, this whole process of just taking these random things and mixing them together and creating life. That's also where evolution comes from, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how it all circles back together.
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet. Okay, let's keep chugging. I'm gonna pull up some more stuff for us to watch. So drop that. Okay, here's another one from the Kyle. I believe this is from Kyle, right? That last one was from you, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay. I just
Yeah,
put
that's
them in
from me.
stacks, so I don't have to
I know.
always look at that page.
Yeah, this is from me.
Okay, sweet. All right, let's pull this up, unmute it, and drop your camera, Kyle, and we will get into it.
Oh yeah, thank you.
This is Tom Horn, isn't it?
It is Tom Horn. You know, real quick, I want to say, because we also have some, what is that, RL Mazzurli, anyways.
L.A. Marzulli.
Yeah. I used to, and Steve Quayle, I used to really love that group, and they still have lots of gravy, but I do not understand why they stick to, like, they're truth seekers, so why couldn't you see the truth in the Helios, or I guess the deception in the heliocentric model? Like, it always blew my mind why they were so attached to it.
I think why they did it was money. And they
Sponsors.
would lose so many subscribers. They just swept it away.
Well, they also have to have a kind of cognitive dissonance to it, where at the same time they got to feed their guilty conscience in a way and justify it. I think it's partial cognitive dissonance as well as intentional manipulation, but I don't think it's done with the level of malice people, I guess, transpose on it.
Yeah, no, I personally don't think there's malice, because like they're truth seekers, right? And I do believe, right, like many people who believe in the heliocentric model are still going to heaven, you know. So, and I'm not saying y'all don't, but what my kind of point is like, to me, it's like they're so into this evidence-based thing. Like, that's what they show us. That's why people out there that have found their stuff enjoy it, because they're pretty meticulous about providing physical evidence and proof and research that bolsters their claims. And so if they took even a percentage of that and humbled themselves and really looked at that, at the heliocentric model in the same way, it would have to fall apart. So like what Marcia says, where it comes to, hey, we can't say that because of sponsors, or there's all of these,
Yeah, they don't want to go through what Rob Skiba went through. I mean,
yeah.
he lost
and he was a part of it, right? He was part of it.
And then he had to rebuild his whole brand. I mean, if he didn't have the fortitude to stay with it and then rebuild himself, because he was devastated. He was kicked out of churches. I mean, I watched his testimony.
He was kicked out of this group of people.
This group.
Yeah, this group right here that we're playing their video.
Yeah, he was kicked out of everything. I mean, he was bankrupt.
Well, no,
and then he had the strength and the fortitude to build himself back up.
Totally, but what I want you to understand, Frankie B, is these people are who affected his livelihood. He was on these shows. He was in Prophecy in the New. He was at the Prophecy Club. All of those people basically excommunicated him because of his, true earth view.
Yep.
Yeah, he realized it was the truth and he wanted to share it. And that what they did to Rob is stopping other people from coming out, because they don't want to go through that persecution.
Yeah, well, and they at this point, after what they did to Rob, they could like. I feel like the community would forgive them, but I feel like for themselves, they have to double down. They're like, well, we
Yes.
kicked Rob out and destroyed his thing, though he built it back up. Praise Yah. So if we come out now and say, okay, wait, we're gonna say, we're not so sure about the heliocentric model, that would then be like, well, then why did y'all excommunicate Rob so quickly? Why didn't why didn't y'all look into it then? Anyways, we're
That's
sorry.
why they just don't touch it. They
So-
just don't touch it, and they just,
Keep going on. So
Yep.
to keep chugging along, that was kind of a topic that was brought up because some of the people were showing, but I think it's fair to give that backstory about them. So let's watch this.
And archaeologists believe the Anasazi across the world from these Bible lands were drawing giant six-toed footprints on a slab wall in Utah and facing an alien enemy, as the name Anasazi
Must be space aliens. Oh.
implies. When the writings in the Torah are compared with other ancient texts, including Enoch, Jubilees, Baruch, Genesis Apocryphon, Philo, Josephus, Jasher, Jubilees, and many others, not counting the accounts of the American Indian tribes on this side of the world, it's clear that this is more than a legend. It is history. It's a chronicle told through different people's methods and worldviews involving giants suddenly infesting the entire world and then being wiped out in a flood, then somehow returning in a second incursion. This story was written down globally, from Hebrew scrolls to Indian petroglyphs, to provide the oldest recorded testament of part human, part angelic creatures who were in turn the offspring of hideous reptilian entities, or what the apocryphal book of Enoch calls fallen watchers. Similar to the paintings by ancient Anasazi, in documents found in Cave 4 among the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's a watcher named Malchrisha, who is described in the form of a terrifying reptilian whose looks were frightening, like those of a viper. And he was extremely dark, and his face is like that of an adder, and the text says. Is Malchrisha, or his fallen cohort, the same as those halo-bearing reptiles that led the Anasazi to destruction? There's reason to believe they were, and after much comparison, I propose,
I didn't mean to be
as reasonably justified, a translation of the traditional Indian creation stories, together with the Anasazi's petroglyphs, as very telling. In the beginning, the great creator made everything. Then powerful reptilians came down from heaven through portals. The spiral, halo, and reptilian symbols that we found in the petroglyphs. They came to deceive the world, as Dr. Don Mose told us, and the world fell into darkness. This is also hinted in one of the meanings of the word Anasazi, which can literally be translated, according to the experts that we discussed this with, as an alien enemy. Portals, represented in ancient spiral symbolism besides giant six-toed footprints and horned humanoid figures, opened at this time, and alien gods or monsters and giants came through them. Some of these giants had 6 fingers and 6 toes, just as described in the Old Testament. Then the Creator destroyed the monsters and giants in a great flood. And yet the giants and reptilian deceivers returned, though not in the same numbers as had been before the flood. They turned the people, Dr. Mose told us, to sorcery, to cannibalism, and human sacrifice, as did the plumed serpents of the Mesoamerican Maya and Aztec. Of course, one has to wonder what happened to the remains of the giants in America, and whether the Smithsonian Institution actually participated in a cover-up in early American archaeological digs. In fact, Vince Deloria, a Native American author and a professor of law, sounded very suspicious that this conspiracy theory might be true when he wrote, quote, "Modern-day archaeology and anthropology have nearly sealed the door on our imaginations, broadly interpreting the North American past as devoid of anything unusual in the way of great cultures characterized by a people of unusual demeanor, or giants," end quote. We're being dug up all across the United States. I have so many of those, in fact, it can be a book all by itself. And these articles lend support to the legends of when the vicious giants were worldwide. While David was fighting them on one side of the world, it appears the Anasazi may have been building cliff dwellings in America to avoid them too. And their petroglyphs harmonize with that story. But the Anasazi evidence is not alone. Locations around the world that seem to...
Anyways, again, that is David Horn? Jim Horn?
Vader, did you ever see the video of the cannibalistic
Tom
giants in
Uh,
America?
No, but you could send it to me.
I don't have it. I seen it years ago. Yeah, they're supposedly there were cannibalistic giants living here in America, and
There's a lot of tales.
yeah, complete tribes were wiped out. They found thousands of skulls, like in temples and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there were entire tribes known for hunting giants too, and cornering them and exterminating them because they were cannibals and they killed their tribes.
Gulliver's Travel is based on some kind of story like that.
So random thing real quick, since we're on TikTok. I started a CEF TikTok and put my videos up. Most of them actually got banned, but I appealed them, and it looks like the harp one they they restored it. So that's kind of cool. That they haven't got very much views, but it's pretty interesting that yeah, anyways. Sweet. Okay. So I think we could jump to the Nephilim Chronicles. I think that would be the best, but let's lay off of that just for a little bit. And let's play some of these
my video will lead into that.
You better play the doggone video.
Okay, yeah, I'll play your part.
No, I think it'll lead into that though. It talks about Nephilim being clowns and giants. Go ahead, play it, whatever.
Them being what?
Clowns.
Clowns.
Oh no,
clowns are taken from Nephilim spirits.
Gotcha.
They
Let's play some of these other ones before we get to
that.
that.
Go ahead. And then, all right.
Okay, this one, hybrid creatures. That's more for next one. Okay, this is more like current. So let's play this after. Okay, okay, so something that I want to bring up real quick, because remember how we were just talking about dinosaurs, right? And how we were like, yeah, me particularly, I don't believe in dinosaurs as they've been described, as they have been visualized. But do I believe that giant creatures existed? Yes, and we'll talk about that. And let's say, do I think natural giant creatures existed? I do. Because there's some creatures, like, for instance, crocodiles, turtles, etc., that they just keep growing unless they starve or are dehydrated, etc. They very well... They pretty much can live forever, and they'll keep growing and keep growing if the resources are available to do so. And so, but what's interesting is Tom Horn kept bringing up, I know we're going to stop talking, but I'm going to stop sharing real quick. What was I just saying? I just lost it. It was on the tip of
something about turtles growing and
but okay, Tom Horn was talking specifically about these creatures from the Ananazi's perspective being reptiles, right? These vicious looking reptiles, scary and stuff. And so I've always imagined that there were 200 of them, right? Of the Watchers that came down. Do you think they
Right.
all did the same thing? Like, I think where all the different quote unquote alien species come from, some of those to me are vassals, just like created vassals for unclean spirits. But I think some of them are bloodlines that of Nephilim that have kind of like, or not necessarily like. Okay, here's another example. In vampires, right? Like there's different, even in the world of vampires, there's not just one type of vampire. There's the ones that are like kind of crazy. There's the ones that are super intelligent. There's ones that like, they segregate it out. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is, do you think those 200 Watchers, some of them made reptile ones? Some of them made multi-armed gods. Some of them made.
Think how angels.
Oh yeah, different types of chimeras. Yeah.
Well, angels are, depending on the type of angel, also have descriptions of being bull-headed and hawk-headed. Have animalistic character traits. I guess I would suspect that not all of the Watcher angels were the same type of class of angel, and potentially their offspring may just be as strange as they are to us.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I wonder if it's a mix of the both.
Well, that and they can. Yeah, I agree. It is. It probably is, as well as their ability to choose what traits they desire to have. I assume.
Well, that's
later Nephilim.
Angels actually can transform into whatever they want to look like, but that doesn't mean they.
Wait. I'm trying to say something.
Go ahead.
That last video, when that guy was saying that these creatures came through these portals, maybe that's how the Watchers got here. They came through the portals and they were different classes of angels, like Kyle was saying. Some of them were lizards, some of them were mutants, some of them were beautiful, some of them were wicked looking. Because the Bible describes all the different beasts around the throne. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I don't think the beasts around
portals. They didn't come portals. They were given permission to come down.
No, I get what you're saying.
So how do you think they got here? I think they got here through portals.
No.
What do you think? They fell out of the heaven through the firmament?
No, they could go through the firmament.
That's how they get through the pyramid, through portals.
Maybe some of them, Watchers for
fell
sure, right?
Yeah, fell is a stretch because they got wings, but they went down from up, definitely. That's about it.
And we know they were
portals.
And we know that they were, however they got there, those specific groups, the Watchers. We see that interaction between Enoch and the Father, where he basically when he's giving judgment, he says it should have been the angels interceding for man, not man interceding for the angels. So we know that there was a coming and going that was part of their responsibility to watch over the humans and to take care of them, and foster them. They were corrupted probably by the evil one, right? The evil one probably put that little thing in his ear, right? Some way, and made him start lusting and thinking about it until he got all of his group to do it. But anyways, so here's something I want to ask y'all specifically about Nephilim. So with Nephilim, right? Because we can all sit here and speculate and guess what was special about them. Did they actually have flesh like we have? Or was it something completely different? Was it just real quick, think about this. Last week we were talking about giant trees and how they were, if they existed, and if the evidence was true, let's say these were stumps that would have made up the base of a giant tree, well, this tree would have had to have been made out of silicone, not carbon. Now, we are carbon-based beings. What if, because of the energy of the angels, whatever that is, it had to be transferred not into carbon, but into silicone?
You know, Wendy brings up a good point. She brings up a point that Nephilim were clowns. What if the Nephilim really did look like clowns? And we have a lot of depiction of people dressing up in this kind of paint and these costumes. What if they were like really weird looking creatures? Like I think that's what you're trying to say. What if the clowns in the past that we have were actually the Nephilim, and they looked weird. They had white pale skin, or they had real red lips, and they took on clowns. They had
I will say this is kind of coincides, even though it's kind of off topic, is circuses always kind of weirded me out. And the fact that if you look back in the history, like the links that like Barnum and Bailey and other groups, other circuses went to go throughout the world and show these people the bizarre women and men and, mutations and all that different stuff. That is kind of weird. It kind of coincides with what you're saying. Like, why is clown such a big thing within our society? Where did it come from? That's kind of interesting.
I kind of think of clown.
Well, the channel the video that I put up, he does a whole thing on Nephilim were clowns. I mean, he's got hundreds of videos on that.
I just think it's kind of silly to just say like angels came down and literally made like big feet, big nose, fluffy hair.
You're saying, wait a minute. You're saying they mixed alchemy with their offspring. So they were doing experimentations on their offspring. You're saying that they cut the roots. They added all these supplements to the women to have these weird bands. Maybe some of them were mutants.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's impossible.
It's really mutated though.
It's the present understanding of clowns. You got to separate the fact that we're talking about these exaggerated
the whole
features.
angel thing was to make us hideous. God loved us and created us in his image, and we were beautiful to him. So their whole thing was to set out to make their own race that was hideous, the opposite of what God created. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just
don't. I think clown's just the wrong word.
Deplorable to God.
When you say clown, I think of like the most hideous thing like that you could do with the human body. It's not what I envision when I think clown. Like
clown.
I can think of
as creepy as clowns can be. We understand there's a link though, that there's a big link between circuses and clowns and the
showing
mutations
of
yes, exactly. We totally understand
Nephilim
that.
weren't clowns.
The curious shop where you got double-headed
clowns. Clowns may very well be.
With these
clowns very well may be sure they may be based off of Nephilim. I understand that. That makes total sense.
And we really don't have anything that describes what the Watchers look like, do we?
No.
Is there anything in scriptures that tells us what the Watchers actually look like?
We're told what angels. No, we're told what angels.
We're told angels, but do we know what angels actually look like?
Kind of.
No.
I mean,
not
we have an
necessarily,
idea. We have some type of description, but we portray angels as looking like us.
Depending, yeah.
Well,
sure.
there is also
the
scripture, bro. There's also scripture where it says you will not be prepared because you will not know when you're entertaining an angel.
Right.
So yeah.
And then other scriptures that talk about people who defecate themselves when they see one.
Exactly, yeah, and they bow down or they fall down or they
start praying to it. And they say, "Hey,
don't pray
to me."
So maybe they are. Who knows? They might not be really looking like us, pretty beautiful, like Marsha. But
No, I get it, bro. But
you know what I'm saying? Okay.
No, I totally get the connection, and I even, like I said, with the circus and the showing the mutations and all the, like, I could literally imagine a world pre-flood where they would do that, where they would take this sick show on the road and show it off to everybody, like. That isn't out of my mind and conceptual that is possible, because I thought, well, where do clowns come from? The first thing I thought was like circus, and then I thought about the circus. So I get the connection. That's interesting. So let's play your video real quick, since you said that connects with that, and then we'll keep chugging along. So let me bring this up and pop. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd my buttons go? Okay, weird. Where's my buttons? Guys, where's my buttons? Oh, there it is. It's just being really weird.
Button. Who's got the button?
I found the button. It's a hidden...
I know a clown named Buttons.
Oh, gosh.
What is going on? I might have to... Okay. 1 second, everyone. I gotta go to this screen real quick so I can... close this and reopen it, and y'all aren't just seeing a whole bunch of shenanigans. Pop out, pull that back up, there we go, and back over here. Sweet. And like that is saying, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It does help the channel grow. And thank you to the recent subscribers. We're up to 1182, guys, so we're only 18 away from 1200, and then 800 away from 2000, where we'll be giving another giveaway. We already gave away a shofar and a Sefer Bible. So if you have an idea of what you would like for us to give away at 2K subscribers, post it in the comments. That also helps the channel grow, and you get your comments read out. So
yeah, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hit that like button.
All right, let's give this a play.
Some of the fallen angels who rebelled against God came to earth, and one way or another created offspring with human women. These offspring became giants, mighty men of renown. Monstrous in nature, cannibalistic, and full of pride, they fancied themselves the rulers over mankind. Being enormous and part angel, they were unsurprisingly treated as special by humans, and indeed became the kings and rulers of mankind. Anyway, as time went on, all of mankind began to change. Either by force or in a willing attempt to be like the Nephilim king heroes, they became strange beings far removed from their once human forms. X-Men, if you will. While this went on, at the same time, the fallen angels who created these Nephilim kings were seen as the numerous heavenly gods of the earth. These are known today as the Some of the fallen angels who rebelled against God came to...
Okay, he was about to say pantheons. I think that was pretty logical. Okay, that's going right here. Okay, let's watch this L.A. Marzulli. Yeah, that was it.
That was it. All right.
Yeah. Okay, let's pull this up. Big screen.
I think that's experts from his book. He's got a book out, Nephilim or Clowns.
Nephilim are clowns.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, check that out.
There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim. The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of the Nephilim.
About to have an aneurysm. Oh my God.
Kind of intense.
That was very intense. I was like, are you trying to subliminally tell me something there, bro?
Diaspora that happened 3,500 years ago, when Joshua and Caleb pushed into the promised land. Giants, the Nephilim, fled, and they were absolutely terrified. So we'll get into that and so much more. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Gold has been predicted to go up more. Investment.
No one cares about your gold, bro. Thank you for the video.
Levant, when Joshua and Caleb press the conquest of the promised land, and what people need to understand, and this it's so clear in Genesis 3:15. Their seed will be at war. The dragon seed will be at war. Satan's the serpent seed will be at war with the seed of the woman.
Okay, one real quick thing about that is if the serpent is the evil one, who's his seed, right? You would have to say his seed is then Nimrod, but like only, I guess, if you say like father like son, like how he's like, no, your father is not Abraham. If it was, you would do as Abraham does. Your father is Satan because you do what he says. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about? No?
What do you mean?
Sorry. No. I
So
was muted.
So he's okay.
So a Satan seed.
Yeah, right. He's
all right. So we're back with Satan seed then.
But no, just
no.
No.
I believe we are. I think we are.
No,
don't stifle me, Marcia.
No, what I'm trying to say is who is Satan's seed?
Oh, maybe he did have children. No, but then the Bible never says he had children.
He couldn't have, because if he would have, then he would have been imprisoned just like all the Watchers would have.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, I wonder if it has something to do, like, when Revelation 9 happens, that star that's in heaven that falls from the heavens to the earth, right? And an angel has the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit, and he opens it up. Like, is he going there, and whatever he does, that's his seed? And that's how Apollo, Nimrod, that's how he comes back? Because even if Nimrod is dead, right? Let's say he's dead, his spirit is in Sheol, right? What if whatever the Watchers did is similar, because we don't really understand how that specifically worked, right? So let's say however that worked, right, is similar, but in this aspect, he's going to be like we see whose spirit is brought back. Not, is it Simon's or Sam's? When remember he gets the witch to the evil king gets Simon, the witch. Gets Simon. Is it Samson?
Samson.
Samson
No.
and Delilah?
No, not Samson. Gosh,
Simon the sorcerer.
Remember that there was I suck with names. The evil king, he goes and he dresses up like he's nobody, and he goes to a witch because he had already made a law where they could not use sorcery and all that stuff. And so he goes Samuel. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
And Marcia. So it
was Tyler.
So Samuel's spirit was brought back to where the dude, whoever, I forget the guy's name, saw Samuel and saw the ants, right? So, or maybe he didn't see her, but she saw. So if she saw him, there was some type of interaction, whatever that was, What if whatever he's doing mixed with whatever the Watcher's doing to bring back Nimrod is the actual process that's happening? And that is what makes it his seed, right? But like the remnants of the serpent seed, Nimrod, and not just in a blood sense, but also in a spiritual sense, just like we see with God, right? It's not all those who are just blood tied to Israel, right, that are descendants of Abraham. It's also those who are grafted in, right, from the wild vine to the cultivated vine. So there's that transaction where it becomes a part of the native branch. So, but they're spiritual that get grafted in, right? So what if it's the same way, like you spiritually get grafted in to his seed, which is all the occult, all the mystery religions, all the sorceries, etc. of the world. That's at least my mind canon. Let's keep checking along. We got way more to play and talk about.
The proto-evangelion, the one coming from the woman, will crush the dragon's head. Now, it's Genesis 3:15. It's as plain as can be. Thank you, Gary Stearman, for unpacking that, as they say, to us many, many years ago.
Look at the globe. Everybody stare at the globe.
A while back.
Remember the
He
globe.
always has a globe.
There's two globes.
How dare you?
Do you see both of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Ooh.
when the
He's really heliocentric. Okay, sorry, L.I. Marzulli. I can't listen to you anymore, bro.
They're going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Nephilim strongholds, in my opinion.
He's just like his voice. People cannot like my voice. That's totally okay. I don't like it. I want to play this really quick. We're not going to play the whole thing. Oh, 1 second. But I wanted to play this because they talk about it. Now, I'm not saying this is true, but I think it's kind of interesting. And also what I was saying is we don't know what these beings were made out of physically. Were they carbon? Who knows? Like maybe the giants, right, are humans, right? Started off humans, so therefore they're carbon based, but they have manipulation. Whereas the Nephilim, maybe they were silicone based, and that's why the giant trees were silicone based, and maybe that's why we don't find their bones per se, and their remnants is because that they just turned into stone. Well, let's see this.
If you needed further proof that we live on the remains of a much larger past.
Okay, I just really want to say real quick, now I do not say all of these pictures are real or not edited. Like I'm a Photoshopper, I could see how these could be made. So I will say that, but the cheesy music I can't stand. So I kind of want to make fun of this guy for choosing it.
And that geology is nothing more.
And the way that he's talking.
Let's take a look at where a trendy and popular ingredient you might have in your cabinet came from. Himalayan salt.
Himalayan red salt.
Tell me what these caves
That's what the human body is made of.
You tell me.
Let's take a look at some of that salt taken out of these mines and collected into a pile. Now, do those not look like slabs?
Let's take a look at this salt.
Here's a closer picture.
We chop them up.
How about now?
It's
If pork ribs aren't
pink.
your cut of choice, don't worry.
Pork ribs.
There's cuts to choose from here.
Eat it.
In the right conditions.
Oh, it looks like
after
bacon.
that great flood-like event,
Bacon.
buried and covered in sediment, these
But like everything.
fried beans became the new mountain.
You know what's
I
got?
admit, it does look like flesh.
No, it
look
does,
like-
and I will kind of say
It does.
as evidence to kind of support this, and it kind of grosses me out. I just ate pink Himalayan salt. Like, hopefully, it's just fake Himalayan salt, and they just added pink dye. I'm just joking, but okay. So over here in the Utah area, there is a native word called ochre, right? So the mountains we live by. Oh, you're gonna track me down. Mountains that we live by are the ochre mountains. Now, the ochre comes from the red pigment that can be harvested from here in surrounding areas. Now, what's really weird about that is it's only on a certain layer of the surface, right? And kind of what I was saying with the whole silicone and stuff, like, I don't think that this is meat, like old age dried meat, but this is rock. This is I'm pretty sure there's some silicone in rock, or the very least that it's a good use.
There is.
There's a good voltage transfer through sodium. But anyways, this random thought came to my head one day when we were driving, is I looked, and the pattern of the red stain, it looked like the same rock, like the same pattern of the rock going through, but at the same time that like almost a big person laid there and died, and the blood from them soaked into the ground and soaked into the rock. Now, I'm not saying that's true. I have no evidence. It was just something my mind randomly thought of when I was looking at it. But it kind of, like, I can see it. It kind of makes some sense of what they're saying. I don't know really, though, if it is. So I'm going to keep eating my pink Himalayan salt.
Of course we don't know.
But maybe I'll transfer to...
This whole show is all about stuff we don't know.
Yeah. That's the fun of it.
I don't know.
Yeah. I agree with Marcia. But still, even I have to say there, when you talk about a giant Nephilim, that its muscle or whatever it is should turn into salt. If that's what happens, then where's the Himalayan pink salt in, Russia, China, the rest of Africa, in the United States? I mean, where's the mountains of it? I think...
Yeah, there would have to be a lot more.
Too far.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think some...
Called Russian pink salt.
Well, but you're saying so all the salt everywhere is all just the Nephilim? God didn't provide salt on the world in pockets within the material of the earth, knowing that it was a essential nutrients that we need to sustain life. I'm not saying that some of them might be. Maybe it is. It's interesting, like the connection with the silicone and the salt, and so who knows? Of course, who knows? So that's specifically about the Nephilim. It's interesting. Now, I want to bring this up real quick before we get into this, and the fact that we made a distinction between Nephilim and giants, but if you look up the word Nephilim, it can be translated as giants, right? So that seems like a discrepancy. What I would say to that is, yeah, that word is used in a lot of times, interchangeably, but and it's even used here, but to me, this should actually say the Giant Chronicles, fallen angels, remnants or something. But Fritz Zimmerman wrote, I said Springmeyer. Fritz Zimmerman wrote this. It's so good. You got to check it out. But okay, there's a little, I don't get to show all the stuff. I have the book, but weird account things will not let me use it. But I really wanted to show the panel, and I'm going to have to figure it out so I can show y'all at some point. I should have looked into it before, my bad. But real quick, so what this is basically about is this isn't just the Ohio Valley, but there's a lot of stories for it. So what it first gets into is just the, now it says the origin of the Nephilim, 2 million BC. So this kind of looks at it from an evolutionary form, and it almost kind of ties the Cro-Magnon to the what are those, Neanderthals, and like that separation. So it doesn't really focus on it from a point of the Bible per se, but obviously these topics are from the Bible. It's more of a scientific thing. It does talk the sons of God and the Nephilim. But what's really interesting about this book is it literally goes into, and it kind of says it here, giant remains in the British Isles, the Amorite Beaker people, the prehistoric mining in North America. They found, so I'm just quickly in this book, they found these huge instruments. They found these huge mines. Now, these are, again, single or primary source documents that he's sharing here. These are people giving their eyewitness testimony on things they discovered and found, right? Now, those things may not be there anymore, but at the time of them finding it, this was a published thing that was taken seriously, not something that was lost and hidden away in the annals of time. So anyway, so it talks about the North America megaliths, all those, right? We see those also in Central America. Where did the North American ones go? I wonder. Okay, here, 1 second. Where is it? I kind of skipped over it. The migration of the Hopewell Saxons, it talks about that too. But also within this is over and over and over. It's not going to actually show this. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, it's going to all be hidden from there. He does quote it, but real quickly, this book goes into the fact that while farmers and people that were migrating west from the original 13 colonies, as they pushed forwards, they set up towns and they set farms, and people, started growing in farms. Well, all within the early 1800s, 1700s, there was a plethora, specifically with the Smithsonian Institute, where these farmers within the Ohio Valley, they called them the mound builders. And they said, these were the Native Americans. Now, this talks about how the Native Americans said, no, this had nothing to do with us. We had we didn't build these. These were here way long before us. And as over time, these mounds were excavated, they literally found giant human remains. There are stories of 6'4", 260-pound men putting these skulls that they found that have double rows of teeth on their heads, and that the head cavity is so big that it hits their shoulders. The jawline hits their shoulders before it bottoms out on the top of their head. Where they're finding, again, in those mines, these huge instruments, these huge weapons and tool heads that make no sense with the size of modern men. And the fact that these places in North America would have been explored many, many years ago. And so it literally makes no sense. Oh, salt clowns. Oh my God, that's so good. And so
the whole chat is nuts on salt.
And so hashtag salt clowns. What's really what my point is over and over and over, there's account of farmers, people clearing their lands, taking these mounds apart, finding huge objects, huge skeletons. The Smithsonian Institute showing up, and all of those are going away. They never saw them at the museums. They never saw them at the fairs. For all intents and purposes, they were lost to the annals of time. And a really good book. Check it out if you're interested in it. I feel like this is a little quick 7 seconds that we're going to watch for a little humor ending.
With the little Michael Jackson.
All right, let's hear what Michael has to say. What you got to say, Michael?
None of it's true. None of it's true. None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lie.
Oh.
They lie. Self-disguise. It's a beautiful
Ridiculous.
thing.
It's
They
ridiculous.
lie.
They lie.
Oh.
Liar.
I'm sorry, but the whole chat was blowing up with clown
Oh
salt.
gosh.
So it was.
Well, yeah, well, as Kyle said, just take it in and it's a grain of salt.
Just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I mean, by the end of the night, it's going to lose its saltiness. So,
but with a giant grain of salt. Okay.
Yeah, giant grain of salt.
Take it with a giant grain of salt.
Giant grain of salt.
That skeleton's got some moves. All right, guys. So let's everybody say our goodbyes. We thank you for being here tonight. Sweet. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thanks for everyone being here. We'll go ahead and say our goodbyes and call it a night. And we'll start always with our dear sister Marcia.
Good night, all. This was kind of, it was good. It was funny. It was a little of everything, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it really was a little bit of everything. I feel like we got some gravy out there. We still got to laugh about it. We got some extreme ideas. We got some, we salted that gravy with a giant grain of salt, of clown salt, you know. So, yeah.
And that's your job, Robert, is to give us a soundboard. Something like that.
Vader says that the Michael Jackson in your voice is to you're representing the gay pride month.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's what Sean said. Yeah.
We love pride here, right, guys? We love the pride that we get from a hard day's work. We get the pride of coming together and having conversations, even though we disagree about things. And we have the pride knowing that above all, that Abba loved us first, and he showed us through his son. And his son said he will share his throne with us as his father shared his throne with him. And that's something to be proud of. So thank you, Savior. Thank you, Father, for providing that for us, salvation. But anyways, without any more jokes, thank you, Sister Marcia, for being here. We'll jump over to you, Marcia. Robert, what's your throws?
Marcia Robert.
Wow.
What are your throws?
All day long has been Marcia Robert. So
I know, right? Such a good tie-in. The sync is unreal.
Is it really over? This is a good one. This has been a good one.
Yeah, literally 2 hours fly when you have fun.
Maybe I can make some comments into the video. So yeah, okay, great. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
Shalom.
Thanks for being here. Jump over to Kyle. Hope you enjoyed it as well, brother. Always glad to have you. What's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. I think it's a really important topic. For a long time, people probably thought it was mystical and fantasy and fairy tale because these creatures kind of seem to go into the shadows for a while. But I think there will be a time in the future that they are going to start popping back up. So I think it's important to know the Book of Enoch. It's important to know our scriptures and be ready to be prepared when these things come upon the earth, so we're not taken in fear and, you know, our heart, you know, fails for fear of what falls upon us.
Yeah, absolutely. And even more so with Enoch, right? Right in the beginning, he's like, hey, bro, this information is not for y'all right now. It's for a distant, remote generation, right? Why would then he go on to let everyone know in that distant, generation, hey, they did all of these things. This is what they were basically doing. This was the outcome of it. Hey, by the way, this is for a distant generation. You know what I mean? Like he didn't give us all that gravy and tell us it was for a distant generation if it was something that just happened in the past and we never have to worry about. So I think that's such a absolutely great point. And yeah, it is important. It's something we have to look out for. But you know, I like to, you know, like Scripture likes to say, greater is He who is in us than who is in the world. So thanks again, brother.
It's funny though. I was 5'10", considered a very tall woman.
Giant.
And yeah, and red hair
and salty.
Only 5 fingers. But now I'm shrinking.
What are you now? 5'5"?
I'm 5'7".
All right.
Nice. Well,
all right. So
last but not least, we got Frankie B, brother. If you'd like to give us your closing thoughts.
There's no faith. There's no fear in faith. So just stay in faith, hope, and love, and continue to dig deep. Yeah, these shows are fun. They've been going by fast too, man.
This one did.
Yeah, we're just laid on out gravy. Just, you know, we don't know anything, but you know, it's all speculation. Yeah, we're making a living off of speculating.
A living?
Mm-hmm.
We're paying the system to make a whole bunch of videos, bro. We ain't making
a living
off of
where's that money, Frankie? Sorry, I haven't seen that.
I don't want Grabbler Tube's money anyway. So
right, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah, Kyle, you look like you're in Gotham City over there, man. I love that background.
Yeah, it's crazy behind me, man. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
You from that far, you can actually see the curve.
He's in the purple.
You can see the curve.
Yeah, you see the curve, guys.
Right there.
Yeah, you can
see it. Yeah.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Dig deep. The truth is out there. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good channels out there talking about some really good stuff. I see Wendy in a lot of them. So just keep on seeking and dig deep. Dig deep.
Absolutely. All right, guys. It was absolutely a fun episode. These have all been really great. I think next week will be just the same. So if you're interested in getting updates and stuff like that, hit the subscribe button. 1182, and we're keep growing. So thank you to all the new subscribers and to all the new subscribers. It really does, help the channel grow, and we appreciate all the new puzzle pieces that we get to add to the pile. But yeah, until next time, guys, remember that Abba love you first. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Shalom.
Good night, y'all. Shalom.
Good night. Shalom.
Say bye, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Good night, shalom. Yeah, good night, shalom. Da-da-da-da. Good night, shalom. Yeah.
Good night, people. Have a good night.
Dig deep, search it out.